When I go into the woods, a lot of times I'm looking for fat wood, and fat wood comes from fallen pine trees that have been disintegrating for quite a long time, and about the only thing left is some of the lower limbs that go right into the trunk. And the reason they don't decompose as fast as the other limbs is because they're so full of pine sap. And this is an example. It's the limb that goes into the trunk of a tree, and I cut it off. I'm gonna take my knife and I kind of whittle off the outside, and you see all of this fat wood exposed. And another good example of that is here's one where I cut off a limb and cut it away from the tree. And if you look at this, look how beautiful that pine sap is. This is fat wood. Then I'll go ahead and take and cut this up, and I'll use this for my BioLite stove. And the BioLite stove simply uses wood for fuel. When I'm in the woods, I use my Corona saw. I love this saw, it's really good. It works when you pull it back as well as when you push it forward, but it's very sharp and very good for cutting these pieces of wood off the tree in the woods. When I get home, I use my K-bar. This is an awesome tool. And you can just chip this off. And make nice pieces of wood for your BioLite stove, or for campfires, or for any place where you want to have wood that burns really well. So one of the advantages to the BioLite stove is that it does really well off-grid. All you need is to go out and get some sticks. I've gone around the yard and gotten sticks, and of course you saw me cutting up this fat wood. And I've also have trees in my yard that are cedar. You can pull off some of the cedar bark if you want. You can shove it down in there. You can go ahead and add the fat wood. And then it's really helpful to have one of these fire starters that I just made. And so it's just tissue and some very light paper. And I just like to open it up. It's got wax in it. Get it started. And I like to let it get good and started. And then I'll drop it down in there. And having a fire starter is very, very helpful. And it'll keep going. This fire starter will last for about 3 to 5 minutes. That's plenty of time to catch things on fire down there. The neat thing about this is that this has a battery right here and a thermocouple. And as the thermocouple heats up, it charges the battery, and the battery charges the fan. And listen to this if I turn the fan on. And you can see that it's just really blowing that flame to get it nice and started. And then just keep adding fuel. And once you add fuel, you can go ahead and put your kettle pot on it with water, soup, whatever you want in there, and heat it up. You run a little low on fuel, stick a few sticks in there, just from the ground, from those trees over there. Those trees are always dropping limbs over there. And you can get a handful of limbs, and a handful of limbs can cook up oatmeal or other kinds of things. I can put a skillet on this thing if I want. I have a titanium pot that cooks really well and very fast. So there's lots of things that the BioLite stove can do for you. It has a little port right here, and I can stick this in. And when it gets sufficiently charged, that thermocouple in there gets sufficiently hot, I can tap this thing and it'll come on. It's not quite there yet, so we'll just let it get there. They have BioLites that have lower settings on this. That's a low setting for the fan, and you see it's really going to town. And it has a high setting. And when I'm cooking, I have to constantly take the pot off so it doesn't get too hot. But they have BioLites now, the BioLites that are coming out now, have different settings for the fans so that you're not overcooking your food like you would be right here. But it sure does get that water up to boiling very, very quick in this pot. This pot is specifically designed for this. See, it does really well. It doesn't put the fire out at all. So you have fire at night, and you have light to light up your table or whatever you need. The BioLite I took on my camping trips, my 4-day camping trips. It's supposed to be a 6-day camping trip, the Foothills Trail. That's how I cooked my food. Never had to worry about running out of fuel except when it rained. So I always stored a little bit of extra dry wood with my pack so that I never run out of fuel opportunities to go ahead and cook a meal. I like this because you are really totally off grid with this thing. And that is something that I don't mind doing. So you notice how it lit up that light? Well, something that it would also do, I don't know what's flashing in the camera because it's not flashing on the light there. But if I plugged in a cell phone, it would help recharge the cell phone just enough to give me enough power if I'm out there in the mountains or the tops of the mountains to be able to call home or to be able to make some texts or whatever I need to do. You ever been out in the woods and having a hard time getting a fire started? That's why these fire starters are so awesome. I mean, they burn 3 to 5 minutes. I make them myself. They're very easy. And I would have a couple of these in my pocket if I was out there tromping around the woods expecting that I needed to make a campfire. Very, very helpful to have fire starters. All you need is one to get a good fire going. This BioLite will keep burning down until it's totally burned out all of the fuel in there, and then it'll cool off. The fan will then turn off. So if I come out into the yard and I find these little sticks, limbs falling off the tree, like this one right here is an example, that's all I need to make several meals for my BioLite. So I don't need fat wood, I just need some sticks that have fallen off the tree and a fire starter and something to light it with. And then I'm ready to go. Really off-grid stuff. So the BioLite comes with its own pack and easy to pack up and easy to transport. No big deal.